Hello, welcome to another Sunday live chat with Nick. Um, let's see, I just sent out an invitation to Brian. He had some audio issue last week. Maybe he can join me um, today, but I will send out 3 invitations and let's see if other people can join me. Anyhow, how's everybody's Sunday? I have my coffee. Give me a chance here to, I think Half Man, Half Amazing also would like to participate.
Everyone, welcome back to Joanne's Tech Lover. I'm Joanne, and I'll be doing the advanced features.
Can you hear me?
Brian, you made it.
Yeah, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Much better than last time.
I apologize last time. It's the first time I used the Google Plus atmosphere, and I had a laptop from work.
Okay, well, trust me, if this is your second time, you did good. I have had many false chat that we tried to get together and other people just couldn't seem to log in, couldn't see the invite, couldn't do anything, so a lot of
there's even a section.
half man, half amazing.
To keep your documents extra safe,
Cesar, welcome.
access permissions for all the files you wish for them to be.
Hopefully, can everybody hear me clearly?
This is where you can create folders for storing and sharing your files.
For Cesar,
You share on
say hi to Brian.
How are you doing, Cesar?
Okay, so well, hopefully the audio is not. This is why I
Posted other
my best to try to limit the
You can delete and add shares via
thing. There's only one other person. If you're watching this,
Jorge.
I think that's another person I want to join.
You will find the newly
Send
created
me an email or a message. But otherwise, okay, I leave the floor to you guys. Whatever you guys want to talk about, put your mind.
files can be accessed via your network or online. You can also see the updates on your WD MyCloud mobile app. Here's a look at cloud access.
Oh,
Where you guys are at in regards to
Download
backup.
backup.
We all know what's going on here in decades past, 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, and so on. But are any of you guys up in the current story?
oh, well,
Current story?
for sure. I'm sure maybe Brian will have the same issue. Brian, you have a hard time hearing Caesar.
It sounds a little muffled, but I can understand them. I can hear them.
Okay, maybe you better to answer then. Do you still buy new stuff?
Very rarely do I buy new stuff. No, unless it's something hyped up or whatever. I mean, I still get all the issues of Walking Dead when they come out, and I really don't know why at this point. I mean, but I enjoy most of the older comics, Silver Age stuff. Just a little background about me. I actually didn't start with comic books. I started with like Mad Magazine, Crazy Magazine, Crack Magazine. So I'm one of the guys that still buy magazine bags and boards, and a lot of my buddies are like, I don't even buy those. I'm like, well, very rarely do you get anything that big anymore.
Sure. Oh, Caesar, I do have a hard time hearing you, so you might want to put that laptop or whatever it is closer to you.
All right, how better now?
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Yes, better.
Sure.
You know, since we don't know much about Brian, give us a little background.
Okay, well,
when was it that you get into comic books instead of just magazine?
Well, I just turned 49 years old, so I'm a child of the 80s, I guess, or born in 1966. But
Same here.
I just remember, as a kid growing up, the big things I liked, were some of the sci-fi shows, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, that kind of stuff, and just going to the corner deli store or whatever with my dad. The magazine racks were there, the comic book racks, and that's what started me. And I like to draw as a hobby, so a lot of that I tried to draw, if I got a new magazine or a comic book. And you know, I still have one of the first comics I got off the rack. It was issue #1 of Rom the Space Knight, and so I still have that. So I never followed Rom, I guess, throughout his entire career, but from what I've heard, they're supposedly looking at that for a movie too, but you know how all the movie hype is. I don't think it's increased the comic book at all, but it's something
it should not.
Yeah, until the actual leaks out that the fact that they're, somebody is rumored to rumor that there's a movie coming out about that.
Okay, now, do you still have like the first books or the first magazine that you bought?
Oh yeah, Mad magazines. Yeah, I bought those religiously through the 80s, 90s, 2000s. I slacked off a little bit when they went to color. Or, for some reason, I don't know, I didn't really like that format, but nowadays, Mad Magazine, I don't know if you know how much they cost, but they're like $6.99.
Yeah. Do you have Mad #1?
No, I don't. I think the oldest issue I have is like somewhere in the 40, 50 run. It's a Don Martin cover, and I don't know, for some reason, I've always loved Don Martin's humor.
Okay. Now, Brian, since you're fairly new to the YouTube, well, you probably watch a lot of YouTube comic videos.
What do you call it? I guess I watch in the background, a lurker, I guess.
Yeah, a lurker. You're the lurker. Now, are you interested in doing videos in the future?
Yeah, I guess. It's just feeling comfortable with this format. I mean, it takes getting used to talking on the screen and, putting yourself out there, and then, everybody has a horror story like, oh, I got a thumbs down and stuff like, I don't like any of that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm open to.
Cesar, you have been on YouTube now for 6 months?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Late last year, yeah.
Yeah, so are you familiar, are you okay now with the thumbs down?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what, Brian, let me tell you something, Brian.
Yeah.
Thumbs down, when they give you thumbs down, at least they watched your video.
Well, that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they keep doing it, again, they have interest. They want to see what you're doing. Even if sometimes they want to see you fail. They want to see you. Okay? So just enjoy it and milk it for what it is.
Right. I have thick skin, but, sometimes on these video communities, people have the most outrageous, alternative motives for why they do this, or they just try to stir the pot. And I'm all about just talking 80s and comics and movies and.
But same thing with me. See, Brian, I'm born in 1966, so you are barely a few months older than me. My birthday is in November.
Okay, I was August, yeah.
So I am at your generation. Okay, so we can chat about movies till the cows come home.
Am I the odd man out now, Nick?
No, you the youngster. You have so many more years to enjoy this hobby. You can enjoy buying the stuff that we left behind.
Your cash is my treasure. Bring it.
Now, if you don't mind, Cesar, are you in your late 20s?
No, I'm in my mid-30s. I'm 36. I was born in '79.
Oh, you're still young. 36. My God, I was not even married yet. I was still young, single, and buying comic books like a fool.
What part of the country are you from, Cesar? Are you on the eastern side?
Well, I'm originally here from California.
Okay.
All right, and actually migrated here to Colorado for work. I'm currently in Colorado.
Oh.
That's where I've resided here since October 2013. So here I am.
So it's like 8 in the morning there or something, right?
That's what I asked Nick. What time? He said 11 Eastern. Okay, all right.
Well, I appreciate you getting up. This maybe Brian is the same, but the older you get.
Oh, I get up same time.
I get up at like 5:30.
Yep. Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, it's like when people was like sleeping into 8 o'clock. I'm like 8 o'clock. I can't remember the last time I sleep to 8 o'clock.
Well,
real quick, I did send another invite out to Jorge. So Jorge, if you're watching this video, I did send you an invite to join us because you missed last week. So keep my eyes out for your email. Email me, Jorge, if you did not get that invite. But I did send it out the moment that I got your email that you want to join. Back to our live schedule. You know, for Brian and Cesar, you know, Cesar, you've been around now for 7-8 months. The thumbs down is I don't hate it, okay? But it's still jarring the second that you see it, because you know you can put out a video, a very innocent video, like even last week, well, 2 days ago, I put out a video saying, you know, I had some problem with YouTube leaving comments and stuff like that. And someone thumbs it down like the first 10 minutes. I'm just like, whoa, really? But like I said, it doesn't bother me, but it's still kind of like jarring the second you see that thumbs down, but then it goes away real quick. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, true story. It's.
And here we have Jorge.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What
How
happened
are
to
you?
Brian? Did we lose Brian?
I think we lost Brian. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Maybe there is a maximum of 3 or 4. I don't know. Well,
Have you ever done a video with more than 3, Nick?
no, Brian's back.
Here we go. Here we go.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it was not anything. Well, Jorge, welcome to the party.
Thanks, Nick. How are you?
Introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about your background in collecting, because we don't know much about you at all.
Right. Well, I mean, basically, I got into comics more so because of the writing and specifically also the art as well. So the collecting actually, you know, your videos is what gave me interest in them, because I found it really kind of fascinating, like, you know, hearing you go through these sort of catalogs and checking the prices and things like that, and it's actually really interesting, and the grading system and all that was kind of fascinating to me. But I come more from the art side of it. I really enjoy the artists and the history of comics. So and that's why I enjoy your channel, because it's kind of it gives me what I like to hear, and it's not so much bells and whistles. You know, there's a lot of channels where they feel the need to constantly rant and, you know, show their hands and and all these graphics. Like, you know, I don't need that. Just strip it down. You know what I mean?
Caesar's doing it.
Yeah.
Well, much appreciated. You know, you know, for those that, you know, watch my channel enough, you know that I don't buy a lot anymore. And you know, when I decide to make this channel, I'm just like, okay, you know, there's no way I can do a haul video on a monthly basis. I don't want to buy anything on a monthly basis.
Right.
But I have so much enjoyment out of this hobby, so I can just talk about stuff I have. You know, so
Right.
I talk about the artist, about the story, or whatever. So next thing, it flow into this thing in my channel. So I like it. I'm kind of glad that other people have more interest in things beyond hauls.
Right.
Oh, I agree.
You know, so it's fun. You know, that's why, you know, I kind of like trust me, I like hauls too. I watch my share of hauls video too, because it's kind of nice to see other people excitement.
Sure. Yeah.
But you know, after you see the same book 10 times, kind of like, okay, I get it. Okay, it's a hot book.
But I will say.
98. I know what it is. That's enough.
Yeah, you know, and part of it too is, you know, it comes down to grading, right? I mean, I get a lot of comments here and there over the past 3 years. I'm on YouTube almost 3 years.
Wow.
Congratulations, Nick.
And you know, occasionally I get, you know, comments that, oh, you should go. Have you thought about working for CGC or CBCS? And I'm just like, trust me, I would. Whatever love I have for this hobby would go out the window pretty quickly if I had to sit there and grade 300 books a day.
Right.
I have a hard time grading 20 books a day to put on eBay, let alone 300. Okay. And if I have I have a few friends that work for CBCS and CGC, and they have a different view of the hobby because if you see New Mutant 98 10 times a day over the last 10 years, you just want to pull your hair out. It's just like this is nothing rare or special about it. I see 100,000 books pass through my hands. But so yeah, I hear those kind of stories from my friends that work at these companies, and so I'm just like, there's no way I want to ruin the hobby that way.
It would kill the love for it, right?
Yeah. So it's Jorge. Cesar, you're the one that's still buying a lot of new stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I gotta pull. Let's see. What am I getting? If you guys are interested in that.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm picking up Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's now. I mean, what happened is they stopped at Spider-Man 19. Of course, it rebooted. Everything started. It's like the third series, but it's at Spider-Man 19. Then it stopped to do this Secret Wars, and now there's in between issues like Renew Your Vows. Those are going to things of the 5th issue. But Amazing Spider-Man is something I really love. I love Dan Slott's writing. I mean, he could have stick figure art, but his writing is so good that I'll still pick it up. I mean, case in point here with Walking Dead. I mean, it's not in color. The art is not, wouldn't say it's great, but the story just keeps you coming back for more. So I'm a big story guy. If the writer's legit, I'm after it. Batman's another one.
Well, at least you and Brian has something in common with The Walking Dead.
About the Walking Dead, I gotta be honest with you, I've never really understood like the interest in it because I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's because I don't have a certain kind of taste for the horror genre. I mean, well, with certain exceptions, like for whatever reason, I don't like horror movies, but I love Evil Dead. Like I love Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. Although that's not really horror. That's like, kind of especially the second one. It's like comedy with the horror, and it's very. I find it very, very kind of like off the wall and artistic. It's sort of an acquired taste, but anyway. So I like that, but
yeah, I am a lot like Jorge, where I am not. Like I said, I never bought any Walking Dead books. In fact, I did not watch the Walking Dead TV shows until like the second season was over.
Wow.
Okay. And I decided to sit down and watch the first season, binge watching the first season and the second season, and I liked it. I had to say that I can do without the excessive head smashing and skull.
it's overkill.
Yeah, but the writing and the character of the shows are extremely interesting.
It's funny that you said that, Nick, because I have a question for you, because I remember you talking about the Daredevil Netflix series, and that you liked it. And yes. I wanted to know, I mean, if you could get into the reasons like why, because I kind of felt a little bit differently about that, but tell me, give me your reasons like why you really like that Netflix.
Okay. I like that Netflix shows a lot. Well, there's so many reasons why I like the show, but first of all, I felt the casting was very good. I didn't know the only one that I really know was the Kingpin.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the rest of the other actors, I'm kind of like, who the heck are these people? I've seen them before. Maybe, but I don't recognize them. Like the girlfriend of the Kingpin, she's the mother of Superman in Man of Steel, but that's about the only other thing that I had ever seen her. But so as far as the casting, I kind of like casting where you don't know anybody, so you don't have any kind of preconceived idea of what they will be. So when you throw in these people, they impress me right away. I mean, I like the acting. Okay, so no doubt, I'm a big fan of the actings that are going on in the show. I like the way the dialogue are written. but more so, I like the way the show is shot because if you watch TV shows like the typical TV shows, they are designed to have multiple breaks into the 1 hour show to insert commercial, right?
Mm.
But the way the way Daredevil is shot, it's shot like a short movies. So you get a really nice flow of 45 minutes of whatever 1 hour show, and it doesn't have that break that annoys me when you watch a TV show. So the flow of the show make a big impact on me. The storytelling make a big impact, and I like The Walking Dead. Okay, here's the reason. Similar to The Walking Dead TV shows, and Brian and Cesar can chime in later, is that at the end of the day, what makes the Daredevil good as well as the Walking Dead TV show is the characters are written in that it make me like them. It make me want to root for them. It make me want to be vested in what they're doing. And I think that's what, for me, that's what make the show good, is that if I watch a show or movie and the character is uninteresting,
right,
and I don't give a damn if you die or live or do whatever. That's like a typical Michael Bay movie.
Oh yeah.
You go to a Michael Bay movie and it is like no character that is worth saving. You just want a fucking robot to kill them all.
It's hollow. Yeah.
And so hopefully that answers your question, is that ultimately because the way the show is written, I love Matt Murdock, I love Karen Page, even the Kingpin, I like him. It makes me want to live in that world. Just like The Walking Dead, I can do without the head smashing and skull poking, but the cast, the member of the team, you root for them to survive. Because they're such wonderful people that have to make the tough choice on a daily basis, But that's it. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of the series, I mean, I sort of have a different opinion on it, on the Daredevil. I feel like, when I started watching it, the first thing I could sense was right away was these guys are working on a very limited budget. I can tell that they were not given like the full treatment. I can see in their choices for a lot of the shots were not wide shots. They were very small. It did feel like TV, which I understood it's for Netflix, and so they worked around it. It was very, very economical, which may be another reason why a lot of the show was in the dark. And I don't need to say whether or not it was an aesthetic choice, for the cinematography, but if you look at that show, it's a lot of shadows covering almost everything, which, I think in this instance it helps the show because it kind of goes with the theme of Daredevil. I think the best thing about that show was the actor who played Matt Murdock, Brian Cox. I think is his name, Brian Cox.
Yeah.
He was excellent because I noticed anytime he spoke to somebody, he would never look directly in their eyes. He was always on. It was like I liked him when he was Matt Murdock. The voice was perfect. Everything was right. Now, I will say this. He was a great Matt Murdock. To me, he was not a very convincing Daredevil because, I see him, and I think the thing about the superhero movies that you need, in my opinion, is you need a certain kind of a physicality to sell that you are menacing or that you are imposing. So when I see him as in the suit in Matt Murdock, I go, yeah, I believe that. But when I see him, and you see his physicality and his stature, he's not very imposing, kind of small, and and some of those action scenes, I clearly saw like the fist didn't even touch the guy, and it took me out. It took me out, and I'm thinking, why didn't they hire a fight choreographer? Maybe they couldn't afford it, so they just, they had to use what they had. And the show, I think it was good. I mean, I think Foggy was he fit the role right. I think also the woman who played Karen Page, she fit it right. The guy who played, I think his name is Vincent D'Onofrio, I think, Fisk.
Yeah.
I think he's good. I mean, that's not what I thought the Kingpin could be, because, I mean, I guess they gave him more of a psychotic kind of a crazy kind of twist on, that character. And they gave him, obviously they showed you his backstory and why he's, kind of a nut. But but I thought he was good. I mean, I could tell, people believe, oh, this guy's a real crazy person. I think the scene where he's bashing somebody's one of his goons' heads, like with the car door, that was like the scene that established, okay, this guy's lethal and he's a nut. He's a total crazy person. But ultimately, I think I was not interested in the show up until around, I can't remember where was the episode where Stick was introduced.
I think that's like halfway through the season.
Like maybe 6 or 7, maybe, or 5, or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
When that started coming around, I was like, okay, now I'm in, because when they introduced Stick, whoever played that role, I totally bought it. He was perfect for that. And now and I noticed the pacing was getting better. The story was getting tighter. I was not losing momentum. It was going. And so I kind of liked it right around that time. But before that, it was good, but it did not really impress me. I think it's just because people, they're so hungry, for a good, superhero thing.
True.
So they'll kind of gravitate. But I do, by the way, just to end it really quick, is I think that Daredevil he's a hard character to tackle because he is so, in a way, he's very minimal. He's a minimal kind of superhero. He's not. I mean, his powers are not like super fantastical. Yeah, senses, heightened senses, but to do him right, you have to be really, really good in terms of storytelling, and you got to be really slick, and the acting has to be superb. Everything has to be, because if you're weak in any spots, the flaws are just so immense. You cannot cover anything up, so everything has to be perfect, and that's why if they do a movie of Daredevil, it's like, he's so minimal. There's nothing really fantastical about him. So the story has to be so tight. Everything has to be right. Anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah. No. Now, Brian and Cesar, I'm guessing you both seen the show.
I haven't yet, so I haven't watched it yet.
Homework. You must watch Daredevil, right?
In your free time, Brian, if you have Netflix, I'm assuming that you have.
Yeah.
Sit down and binge watch that over a weekend. Go through 10 hours like that.
Strike one, Brian. All right.
Now, Cesar, what do you like the show?
Well, Jorge, there's a few reasons why Daredevil to me is just the best show on television right now.
Okay.
All right.
That is also including The Walking Dead, because it surpasses these other shows for 2 reasons for me. One, I'm very partial to Daredevil. I'm a big Daredevil fan from the beginning. Okay. When I first got into comic book collecting, Daredevil is one of those characters that intrigued me. The fact that he was blind, the fact that he could still, kick ass, that was awesome to me. It was, he had limits. He was actually vulnerable.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Marvel comic book characters are that way, but in Daredevil it's more so because you felt sorry for him. Yeah. And the fact that his movie bombed so hard really disappointed me, because I was really looking forward to seeing somebody that could pull it out. I mean, Michael Clark Duncan did as best he could as Kingpin, but he could not carry it, Yeah. So after the movie came out, not too much was thought of it. Once Netflix released that they were going to come out with this show, I was a little hesitant to get too excited about it, but it's something that I was definitely going to watch. I mean, freaking, it's Daredevil, come on. So it came out, the first they dropped all the episodes in one day, just so you know, Brian. It wasn't like they released them one week after another. It all dropped at once, and I was like, ah! I mowed through those bad boys like I did with Breaking Bad. And you know, after halfway through the first episode, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be ridiculous. So I told my wife, look, I know you don't like comic books so much. I know you don't like comic book movies so much, but you need to sit down with me and watch this show because this show is gonna blow your socks off. She sat down, watched the first episode, and she was hooked. So I was able to watch all the episodes with her next to me, and she loves Daredevil. The character, the show, all of it. Again, Daredevil is the reason why it doesn't need a big budget is because Daredevil himself is not a big character. He's a B character. So you know, he doesn't have superpowers. So there's no reason to have any kind of special effects with Daredevil. You could do the old school Michael Mann explosions and stuff like that, and that suffices. So it was well done. It was well written. The characters, as Nick was saying here, you can dig in and just get involved with each character. You're into each character. I mean, I freaking feel sorry for Kingpin. That's how good the writing is right now.
Yeah.
So it's a well-made show, well done. I'm excited to hear for season 2, which, if you haven't heard here, the rumors are that, of course, well, not rumors, it's confirmed here. Punisher will be in season 2. So, I mean, Brian, dig in there. Check
Brian.
it out.
I will.
Yeah, Brian, if you watch the show, okay, if you watch the show and you appear in the future chat, I'd love to hear your opinion. Good or bad, you know?
Me too. Me too.
It's not
I've heard opinions from both sides. I've heard opinions from both sides. Either you really love it, or I've also heard some people say it starts off kind of slow, and it's not until halfway through season 1.
I agree. Now, Jorge, back to Jorge comments. I agree with many things that Jorge said. Definitely, the show appear on the low budget end, and I can understand why both Netflix and Disney. Well, it's Netflix who's spending the money, right?
Right.
And you don't need a whole lot of budget for this.
Well, but still, it's a risk. Okay, it's a risk because you don't know yet. You don't know yet if the show is gonna be a hit. So I can understand why they minimalize the budget and everything look dark but it fits the mood. What make me like about Matt Murdock, not so big or more bulky, is that he's more vulnerable, and I love how the show portray his ass getting kicked repeatedly, and he come home all battered and bruised and beat up, and I love that because
awesome.
The show is more about like a film noir dark detective kind of show where it's a crime fighting show more so than a superhero show.
Right.
And I like that. I'm a kind of guy that watch all the cop shows and Law and Order and all that stuff. So I like that kind of crime solving thing, and this is just a better, more sophisticated, fun show compared to Law and Order. And so that way I understand the side that say they wish Matt Murdock was more muscle, but at the same side, but on a different side of the coin, I like the fact that he's human and he get his ass kicked nightly. So that's okay. As far as season 2, I think Netflix, you gotta understand, when they shot season 1, Netflix have no plan or budget really to do season 2. It was, sure, the moment that they dropped the 10 episode and it blows up, they went into rapid drive to get season 2 going, right? But the original intent was not like let's make it's gonna be a multiple season kind of thing. So I think the budget will change, the look will change. You're gonna get more daylight scenes.
Daylight scenes for you, buddy.
Yeah, you're gonna get more explosion with the Punisher involved. But other than that, ultimately, as I mentioned already, for me, what makes the show a winning hit for me is, because it is a characterization of the cast. The every single. Also, when you talk about like a small budget show like Daredevil, you can tell is that they have very few cast. They don't need to throw in like 20 other actors in the show as a coffee girl, a barista, or whatever. It's very minimal. It's a minimalist show, but they make the most of all the characters in every scene. And I think that's what makes it really fun for me to watch. Is that I don't need to see a bigger cast with a broader scope of the story or whatever. But so for me, it works. If they make it bigger, fine. But that was not an issue for me. And now, Jorge, are you buying new stuff on old stuff, or what are you buying these days?
In terms of, am I buying books?
Yeah.
You know what? The funny thing is, I mean, even though I'm actually, I'm 29, so I'm younger. So even when I was in my teenage years, okay, in the 90s, whatever, when everybody was going like crazy about McFarlane and Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, whatever. And I remember I had an older cousin, and he had all these Wizard magazines, and he was collecting like all the Spawn, all the hot stuff at the time. For whatever reason, even at that age, very young, I did not. I looked at some of the stuff that was out at that time, and then I always liked the older artists, and I don't know why. It's bizarre. It's like everybody was buying all of the current stuff for whatever reason. I was looking for Kirby reprints. I'm looking for Ditko reprints. Colin, Busma. Those were the guys that I was looking at their stuff, and I looked at like the McFarlane. Like, all right. I mean, I could see why people like McFarlane. It's an exciting. It's just a wild style. I mean, anatomical correctness, not even once. But everybody, was just exciting, right? It's like, wow. So, but for whatever reason, I just gravitated to the older artists because I saw that they were not as flashy, or I mean, they had their flash, but it was like, okay, we're gonna tell the story and we're gonna draw it, but we're not going to scream at you. It's a slicker way. It's an easier way.
You mean the character doesn't have the Rob Liefeld open mouth screaming in every panel?
Right, like all that stuff and all like insane amount of juice coming out of their neck. I mean, right? And so, but not to knock that because I bought like Spawn stuff. Of course, I was doing all that stuff, but I realized that, and maybe that's why on some of the videos I saw like some of your videos that you had the Joe Kubert looking at his work. That for whatever reason, there's some artists that years would go by and would revisit, and it's not every artist that happens. There's some artists that I enjoy a lot at a certain maybe window of time, and then that's it. It's like I can't really go back and really or feel the need that I really felt the same. It's like it went away, but for whatever reason, I think there are specific artists that years would pass, like 5, 8, 10 years, and you'll come back and you still are like, wow, this guy still is impressing me, and it's very few. Kubert to me is like that. I'll look at Kirby's like that, So and I could name Mobius. I think I sent you a picture, email or a message about Mobius. I love that guy. But anyway, so in terms of buying stuff today, I am very, very selective because I think I don't like the prices. I don't even like the Photoshop so much. I mean, I think the books. I cannot see the drawings anymore. Which is why one of the main reasons why I used to buy the older stuff because I didn't care if it was printed on newspaper. It didn't matter to me. I mean, I like the lines, I like the drawings, and I like the story. I don't need to have a super slick magazine covered in Photoshop. And I can't even tell where the line. I can't see the artist's hand anymore. I can't see it. So, like the last book I bought recently was the Daredevil. I think Chris Samney is the artist, and Mark Waid I think is the writer. I'm not sure. Yeah. So and I like. I don't know if you've seen the Daredevil stuff, but I like it. He's kind of I could tell he has that kind of the school of Alex Toth style. Kind of cartoony, but good storytelling. Good storytelling, good compositions. But that's about the last. I mean, all I buy now is like I go to a place in Brooklyn. I'm in New York, and I could just buy, like, every once in a while, every weekend, I just buy back issues. And my favorite back issues, Spectacular Spider-Man, Sal Buscema. That's my favorite thing. I'll go in there, I just whatever, you know. I love Sal Buscema on Spectacular Spider-Man. That's my thing. So, so really quick to round it out, yeah, I go to the comic book store, I do a 360-degree turn, and then I walk right back out. It's very common that I do that. I just take a 360-degree turn and then I leave. But sometimes I'll buy something.
Okay, Brian. Now, Brian, do you buy back issues comic books at all?
Yeah, I do. For some reason, I got into some of the older Lois Lane, Superman Girlfriend, the 12 center ones, and got some Thor back issues. I guess I don't really have a favorite character. I'm kind of like Jorge. I like, you know, a lot of the classic art, and I think your series, when you did the thing on Wrightson, you know, his art. I mean, you look at that. That's beautiful to look at. It's not, you know, that's done by hand. I mean, it's not Photoshop like Jorge was saying, and you know, it's just beautiful to look at. And yeah, it was one of my favorite videos you did on just some of his artwork.
Yeah, you know, it's I appreciate the younger generation like Cesar, who's still buying new books, because for this hobby to continue to strive, say 20 years from now, okay, you need younger collectors like Cesar, and even younger, the teenagers, the 20-something, to continue to buy the new stuff. And it was not for me. It was never for me. I stopped buying new books off the rack back in the 90s. You know, so guilty as charged. You know, by the time 1993 come around and all the rough ride fell and internet was blowing up, I'm just like, I'm blowing out of this hobby. My head is blown off. This stuff. This just makes no sense to me. It's just horrid stuff. I mean, the story, the art was just so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore. And I still buy the new stuff later. You know, like I told people all the time, not just because I don't buy off the rack, it does not mean that I don't buy the new stuff. What I do is, you know, I wait, you know, sometime a year or two later, and I saw like somebody would sell like a lot on eBay, and I will buy. It's just like Goon. You know, I didn't buy Goon when it came out, but I was able to buy 10 issues of Goon for real cheap on eBay a few years ago. So I do buy modern books when it's like really cheap. You know, you're talking like 50 cents a book, kind of like large lot of to read just to catch up on what the heck is going on.
Now, would you rather have the actual comic book, or do you buy trade sometime to circumvent, you know, getting 15 issues or something, or do you?
I'm torn with that. You know, I have never bought a trade.
Wow.
Me neither.
I have never bought a trade just because I like the individual book.
Okay.
But now that I got to this point of my life, I'm just like, I might as well just wait for the trade to come out, because you gotta understand, you know, 20 years ago, trade was very rare, even in the 90s, you know.
Right.
But the last 5 years, it seemed like they put out trades like 6 months after the series is over, or whatever. They put out trades like this now.
Right.
Well, so I might not wait until the book becomes cheap on eBay. I refer to trades like DVD. You know, like years ago, remember when a movie came out? For those that, like Brian, you're old enough, you know, you see a movie, you had to wait like a year before the VHS come out, right?
Or I have to keep renting it. And
yeah, you wait and wait and wait, because, of course, you know, when a movie came out, you had to wait like 6 months to show up on HBO, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And then 6 months later, then you get the VHS, so you get like a whole year. Now, 3 months after release, Blu-ray. You know, so the same thing with the trades. You know, now they put out trades like a month after the last issue of the run come out. You know.
Right.
So yes, I have switched over to potentially buying trades, because, you know, why bother buy the books? Because it's not about monetary value. Whichever is cheaper, I buy.
Right.
Well, a lot of things in regards to that, Nick, it's about the reprints. Right now, the books that are coming out, currently, they have such a low run on these books because they learned their lesson here from the 90s. I mean, the 90s, they produced hundreds of thousands of the same book.
Millions.
And nowadays, what they're doing here, because, I mean, again, they learn from their mistakes, right? Now what they're doing is actually doing a smaller run and just creating more reprints. And therefore, the first prints are very, very much sought after. Just to make sure that they make everyone happy, a couple of months later, as you mentioned, they come out with the compendiums or with the actual bound volumes, and then here we go. Now you can read them if you want to all in one shot. But these stories, again, are so good that it's what keeps these books alive.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that it's good because I hear negative review more than positive review. It's very, especially on YouTube. Seems like everybody is so angry with so many changes and. Like I said, I'm just like, if so many people are so angry, why are the books still selling?
Oh man, this book stinks. I'll take 2, please.
It sucks so bad, but the potential for profit is down the road, so I'm buying it.
I've done that too. I bought a book, never even opened it, just put it straight in plastic bag. I'm like, oh, I'll be a rich man one day, but I think those stories are too far and few in between anymore. If you should just enjoy the book, read it.
Yeah, well, for Cesar, not a secret to many people, but Spider-Man is your jam, right?
What gave that away?
Yeah, Batman, half amazing. Brian, do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, I love Batman. Yeah, I would pick Batman. And when you were talking about Daredevil, I know the Daredevil movie, so I haven't watched the television show, but just from you describing the television show, it kind of sounds like almost a Batman, or maybe Matt Murdock is similar to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, if you watch the show, you will understand my the description that he's more of like a detective.
Okay.
An average day man detective with above average fighting skills.
Okay.
He doesn't have gadget. I'm not gonna give away the show, so I can't say more about his costume or anything like that. But Jorge, what's your favorite character? Do you have one?
Yeah, Spider-Man. That's probably my favorite. That's my favorite character. That's the one that I relate to the most. Just because he really is to me, he represents basically maybe middle class, very sort of average person. He has some experiences at being a geek in high school. The only thing that's amazing is his ability, but he still can't really pay the rent. I mean, he still has issues with women, and so that's what I relate to him. But on top of that, he has that. I always liked in the Spider-Man, they had that sort of soap opera-esque kind of a drama going on between him and 2 ladies or whatever. And on top of that, he's very sentimental, with his Aunt May. So, and he's just an overall good guy, but just never could get everything right, never could, make everything work. So, for me, I like that character. I relate to him the most. So Batman is great, but I mean, I'm not a billionaire. I don't. He has like all the mansions, and it's just too much for me.
Yeah, for me.
Jorge, I hate to break it to you, but Spider-Man is no longer poor. Okay, he's no longer poor.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was gonna finish my. I was gonna say that because that's the Spider-Man that I liked, right? That doesn't mean to say that he's the same Spider-Man now. You know what I mean?
Like the Peter Parker.
I don't buy that.
He's still your favorite, though. All right.
So, for me, for those that watch my channel enough, Wolverine was my biggest first love. But I put Batman right up there. And then, as far as in the top 5, you can throw in Daredevil up there too. I like Daredevil. Ultimately, I like superheroes that are not super. Like Batman, Daredevil. I kind of like the more human kind of superhero, but it's. Am I still put Wolverine on top? hard for me to say. Sure, he would be my all-time favorite, but would I buy a new Wolverine book right now? No. That would not happen because it's the Wolverine now is not the Wolverine I love. That's one thing that I try to explain to a lot of. It's just like Jorge just say. His favorite character is the Spider-Man, but it's the Spider-Man of the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s.
Right.
Not the new Spider-Man. And I think that's one thing that a lot of collectors kind of don't talk about. Like, I like, just like me. When I talk about my favorite actor is Robert De Niro, one of my favorite, but it's not the Robert De Niro in Meet the Fokker.
Right. Right.
It's the Robert De Niro in The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Deer Hunter. So it's that Robert De Niro. So I try not to say like just because I like Robert De Niro does not mean I like everything he makes. Okay, a lot of garbage too.
I think you guys are sometimes selling yourself short, guys. There's a lot of great stories coming out after 1990. I mean, you got Injustice. I mean, Superman has been a stale character. Let's agree on that for the past 75 years. All right. Yeah. Injustice brings Superman to a different status. It makes him vulnerable. It makes him somebody that you can really get behind and say, you know what? There's a way of thinking one side. Batman thinks another way. I mean, this has been done here with Injustice, but here in these other stories, it takes it to another level. Not only with Superman, but all these other characters as well. Are any of you familiar with what happened with Superior Spider-Man, Dan Slott?
No.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No, not me. No, before Jorge come back, before Cesar come back, I agree with Cesar. Now, here's one of the things that I always qualify my opinions on character is that because I don't buy a lot of new stuff, I don't know. And unlike Cesar, who willing to spend the money buying new off-the-rack stuff, long ago, I made the decision that I just have limited funds, so I'm gonna focus my money buying back issues. That was the biggest thing for me back in 1993, 94, after I left the hobby. And after I returned, I'm just like, if I have this amount of money to spend on comic books, I'd rather spend $20 buying a few Silver Age books than buying 5 or 6 issues off the rack. And that was just my choice. So over the years, I lost track of a lot of what's going on in modern comic books. Okay, what happened since the 90s, I know very little. So guilty as charged. Guilty.
Well, the 90s were terrible. I'll tell you that right now. I was a victim of the 90s, and that was garbage. I mean, there's a couple of good nuggets that came out of the 90s. Greg Capullo was one of them, and Jim Lee was the other. Other than that, the 90s were bomb, all right? I mean, not in a good way either. We got, nowadays here, Capullo's still going strong with Batman, and Batman with Scott Snyder, my God, you guys are going to be talking about this 20 years from now, how good this story is, and it's going on right now.
Okay. Now, as far as modern artists, I'm so far drawn from modern artists. Cesar, you probably know more. Yes, I know all the hub about Scott Campbell. Okay, there's a couple of modern artists that I follow or look at their arts often. Would be Scott Campbell. He's nice, but I don't see the wow in that. Okay.
His woman covers are what's wow. That's about it. The way he draws ladies is
he draws pretty female form.
Exactly.
Female form. But what's up with the nose? What is up with the nose?
That's what I've been asking myself too. They all look the same here in the nose. But,
yeah, it's almost like this is what I explained to a friend about Scott Campbell. It's pretty from here down. It's hard from here down.
That's why his women in costumes look so good.
I mean, I'm not saying the nose is ugly. It's just that it's just strange. It's like, dude, what is up with the nose? And now, so Scott Campbell, I'm aware of. Now, Adam Hill, we all know that, right?
Yeah.
I think Adam Hill is just draw gorgeous women, gorgeous, almost lifelike. And then, of course, Jim Lee's still there. And then I'm a big fan of David Finch. But outside of that, I'm kind of like, that's it. That, you know, after 4 or 5 names, I'm like, I don't know the rest.
You know, there's some decent artists out there. Again, some of them that you mentioned here. Again, some of the people that we revisit here from the past. I mean, Romita Jr. is good, but you know, it's not so much about the art anymore. Everything art-wise has been done. You know, we've seen the Mecca, we've seen Everest, and everything after that is just not up to par. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the only thing that gets people interested is not the art, it's the writing. Some people say, you know, the book is only as strong as its artist. No, that used to be the case. But now what keeps you coming back is the writing. So the writers nowadays, compared to the writers back then, I give the writers now the nod. Because I've had my back issues, I have my Silver Age, I have Golden Age. And I read these stories, and you read that compared to what's coming now. Not 90s, but I'm talking turn of the century, post-2010, I'm going to say.
Okay.
And this writing is ridiculous.
Okay.
I think it's, but I think it's like apples and oranges, you know. Like, I mean, you can't compare like Golden Age writing, you know, with like writing from now. I mean, you just, you know, it's like totally, you know, different things.
It's that, no doubt the time has changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Every decades have come like many changes. You know, it's just like storyline. You know, the 60s storyline. What makes Marvel so special is that during the late 50s and early 60s, the story was so wacky, right? As far as superhero with DC, you know, for those that read DC Silver Age books, oh my. It's just like Batman is fighting a cat with laser beam from the it was just like mind-boggling, like stupid, you know. It's Marvel
themselves as for the intelligent reader.
Yeah, you know, and then, you know, when you throw in Marvel and Stan Lee and all the Silver Age stuff with Marvel, with interesting characters, with dialogue that is not stupid, it was fun, at least for adult. You know, you gotta understand. Even in the 60s, the book was not written for grown men like us.
True.
No.
You know, so when I look back at the books, you know, it trying to skirt the fine line between make it fun for the 10-year-old, but make the 16-year-old interest. You know, it's not an easy thing. You know, so I had to tip my hat to a lot of the Silver Age writers out there that, hey, you know, I'll call by 10 to even 18, and how do we make something that's cool for the 18 but cool for the 10 years olds also? Now, the reason why modern books, in my opinion, is very different than what it was in the 60s is that the core audience today are grown men, grown people, grown women, and so no doubt I believe Cesar in that the story is very different or more sophisticated because it's no longer written for the 12-year-old. They can make it much more complicated, much more verbose or whatever. You know, ultimately the core audience has changed so much that the writing has changed along with the fan, and that's okay. And that's okay. You know, to me, whenever I read Silver Age DC, it just smacked me in the face.
You don't stop reading it. You keep reading it. Stop reading it, Nick.
I know. You know, but that's why I stopped myself from buying Silver Age Batman, because I'm just like, stop buying them. They're just horrid. You can't even read them. You know, it's just but I just look at the time. It's 11:58. The 1 hour is almost over.
I went quick.
It went quick. I hope everybody enjoyed. Had fun. Well, no doubt. You know, as I mentioned in my short announcement video a couple of days ago, what I would do is, you know, if other people that want to participate in this kind of chat next week, then I will invite them first. But if nobody wants to do it, then I would invite the same people again, just so that it gives different faces and different voices to other people that haven't been in the chat. But I must say it was a fun 1 hour, everybody. I appreciate everybody spending that early Sunday morning with me. Okay.
There's no football
and you know, and what do you say, Cesar?
So there's no football on yet, so it's all right.
Well, even if there's football season, you know, that's why I want to end it at noon. This way, all the hardcore fans still have 1 hour pre-game show.
You are a smart man, Nick. You are a smart man.
You know, I plan ahead.
I gotta go watch Daredevil.
This way you can watch
Daredevil.
this way you can watch your NFL pre-game show from 9 to 11. Take a little break and then come back at 12 and sink yourself into 7 hours of football. Okay, that's my plan.
Set your roster.
Yeah. Now, for those that any one of you guys, if you want to have chat with me on your own channel, feel free to do so. I have a very easy schedule, and I'm always happy to participate in any chat talking about comics, movie, TV, politics. So feel free to do so. Invite me. Like I said, if I'm free, I would jump in. But that's it. That's the end of the chat. Thank you all three. Goodbye. Until next week. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Brian, to join. I hope you make more videos.
Okay.
Brian, if you make videos, I think making videos on a bunch of Mad Magazine would be pretty cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow all you guys. Good to talking to you.
Yeah, because there's not that many videos on Mad Magazines out there.
Well, there's probably a good reason why too.
Wrong. Trust me, there are audience for everything. Okay.
As long as you reach one person there, Brian, it's worth it. Tell yourself that.
Hey, I watch it. If you make Mad Magazine Spotlight, I watch it.
You got 2 followers right there. Boom.
Yeah. And Jorge, hopefully you will make videos too.
Yeah. I'll think about it. Yeah. I think I can go off a little too long, but I'll think about it. So.
Well, it's like I said, it's one way to enjoy the hobby. It doesn't hurt to make videos, and I encourage everybody to make videos because at the end of the day, YouTube can use a lot more videos that are not about hauls.
Well, I was going to do a haul video today, but so much for that, Nick. Thanks for killing the dream.
Okay, everybody, thank you, and goodbye.
Okay.
Until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.